Hello there. Now this is not a joke. What if I told you that soon all those that entered the country either legally or illegally in the pursuit of crime or to work in the underground economy will be leaving the country in droves, along with many homegrown criminals too, never to return? Only one problem though. Yes, it won't be long before the charters on the dinghies arrive no more. It won't be long before crime starts falling, leaving the police with much more time on their hands. Fraud will drop and tax evasion will become impossible. Wonderful news, many will cry. But how will this Garden of Eden be achieved? Well, that's the easy bit, because the UK uniparty state has already put the wheels in motion. It will be the replacing of cash with a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. A CBDC called Bitcoin, where all transactions, however small and trivial, are recorded for posterity, for all time. A CBDC where every transaction is logged to the point that what's in the server banks reflects the real world outside, something called tokenization. A CBDC where only transactions that are recorded on those servers are legally binding. Even money given during a Sunday church service will be digital. As soon as the CBDC replaces or mostly replaces cash, there will be no virtually untraceable medium of exchange for the buying and selling of drugs or stolen goods. What's the point of mugging someone if they've got no easy-to-use cash on them and you can't sell the stolen Rolex on? And even if you steal large ticket items for dodgy export abroad, how do you get paid without raising red flags everywhere? How can you evade VAT or any other tax for that matter? Detecting money laundering would become a doddle. How many car washes and empty high street barber shops would survive? How would people get their daily fix? And stealing to fund a habit would become pointless. And it's one thing buying a dodgy smart TV for cash, but a whole other thing to have a permanent digital record of the transaction. Benefit fraud? Forget it. While flipping that second home, claiming it as your main residence so as to avoid capital gains tax might well be a much riskier proposition. And remember, the whole system will be controlled by some sort of AI algorithm, something that could detect the rhythm of crime from just a few transactions, or maybe even one. Stealing cars for spare parts is lucrative at the moment, but only where cash transactions can be made. Cash that can be laundered through many little local businesses across a number of banks. How wonderful, many people will think, crime almost eradicated. Except for crimes of passion and acquisitive crimes where someone is prepared to steal something for their own use or enjoyment where no sale is involved. But as many crimes are rooted in the need for anonymous cash, the crime rate would drop. So how many of our resident ne'er-do-wells will be fleeing to pastures new? And that is one of the ways that the CBDC will be sold to us once it becomes a viable means of doing business for everyone. Get rid of cash to get rid of crime, they will tell us. There is, though, a massive problem. Everything will be transparent, totally transparent. Because not only will no one have any financial secrets from their bank, they will no longer have any financial secrets from the state. And the rules will be tight. Nothing you buy or sell will be a secret, and the state will write the rules to make sure that even the very slightest whiff of an offence will be investigated, an offence that they've defined. Now we'll be told that everything will be private and that your account would only ever be looked at if you break the rules. Nothing to hide, nothing to fear. We'll be told to trust that the state apparatus would have no access to our private financial dealings. But I would bet that state-programmed AI algorithms will be sniffing around every single account, with human investigators only being alerted when the algorithm detects anomalies. Yes, all our transactions will be transparent, but not to you and I, but to our political overlords, using the excuse of massively cutting crime. And another way to get people on side with this is to ensure that the police are never able to deal with the current levels of crime. Tie them up in red tape and make them too woke to pursue criminals. Make the people look forward to the day that something can vastly reduce crime. Then along comes the CBDC, welcomed by all. By using tactics like these, the establishment can get the people to buy into their own financial and social slavery. Because while this goes on, they can put more laws in place that regulate thought and behaviour. More hate crime laws. Because as traditional crime rates fall with the removal of cash, they will need to move the police onto new fields of crime in order to make the world and the human race much more perfect. And this will entail joining the hate crime sphere of operations in with the CBDC to create the social credit score web of control. You could end up with 10 million CBDC pounds in the bank, but a zero social credit score means you can buy nothing with that 10 million quid. And look at what Police Scotland is doing right now. It has already said it will no longer be dealing with lower level crimes, but it will be investigating all, yes, all reports of hate crime resulting from the new hate crime laws that came into force on Monday the 1st of April in Scotland. And further, that every one of them will result in a non-crime hate incident being logged against the person being complained about, without trial, or even that person knowing about it. That indicated to me that we could be nearer to a UK CBDC than we realise. And Police Scotland has already indicated where the long arm of the law will be reaching where hate crimes and incidents are concerned. We know that young men aged 18 to 30 are most likely to commit hate crime, particularly those from socially excluded communities who are heavily influenced by their peers. They may have deep-rooted feelings of being socially and economically disadvantaged, combined with ideas about white male entitlement. Although it doesn't actually state it, the wording leads you to think that young white men in Scotland between 18 to 30 are thuggish racists. But when you reread it, it says young men between 18 to 30, with the white male entitlement element thrown in at the end. Now, I had a look at what the Scottish Government says about race-aggravated hate crimes. And this next one from January last year I found to be just a tad misleading. Where information was available on the ethnicity of victims, almost 2/3, or 64%, of race-aggravated hate crimes had a victim from a visible minority ethnic non-white group. This compares to 4% of Scotland's population at the time of the last census in 2011. Sounds troubling on the face of it, doesn't it? Until you look at the figures again. Because does that mean that white perpetrators cause 64% of race-aggravated crimes? That's what this report seems to be implying, although it doesn't say it directly. How about the race hate crimes committed between other minority races that are part of that 64%? Are there absolutely none of those? But if they are saying that the 96% white population of Scotland are behind 64% of these crimes against the 4% minority races, then I would just point out that by using the exact same logic, the 4% of the non-white Scottish population would be causing the other 36% of race-hate aggravated crimes, presumably against whites. Something that puts a whole different slant on it. Because if there were a population of 100 and 100 hate crimes were committed, the 96%, that's 96 people, would be causing 64% or 64 of the race hate crimes at a rate of 0.67 crimes apiece. Whereas the 4%, that's the remaining 4 people of the 100 population, would be committing 36% or 36 of the remaining hate crimes at a rate of 9 crimes apiece. So never take stats at their written face value, always dig a bit deeper. It's all part of the conditioning process to get the majority to accept these rules by vilifying them and presenting information in a certain way to get the response the establishment needs. It is a rock-solid requirement that the majority must view themselves as the major problem to society that must be controlled. And once the establishment has achieved that, they will gleefully watch as you chain yourselves up. Don't fall for it.